The first documented lesbian marriage in the United States took place in Vermont in 1807. Let's talk about Charity Bryant and Sylvia Drake. Welcome back to Yesterqueers. My name's Amanda, and I'm a public historian of queer history. When 29-year-old Charity Bryant tucked a farewell poem into the hand of her weeping companion, Lydia Richards, she had every intention of returning. Her plan was to go to Weybridge, Vermont and visit her friend Polly for just a few months, long enough for the rumors that had chased her through multiple teaching appointments around Massachusetts to die down. Charity was a modest, serious, and polite young woman, but people whispered that she was too independent, that she and the other female teachers were too close, that she didn't want to get married, and that she convinced other women that they didn't want to get married either. In this case, the rumors were true. Charity's best-laid plans and any thought of returning to Lydia went right out the window when she met 22-year-old Sylvia Drake, Polly's youngest sister. Sylvia was not the marrying type. She'd been ignoring the young men in town since she was a teenager, and she refused to be courted, preferring instead to spend her time with her female friends, with her nieces and nephews, or writing poetry and helping her sister around the house. The Drake family was worried that Sylvia was never going to get married or start her own household, and Polly hoped that perhaps Charity could serve as a bit of a cautionary tale for her stubborn little sister. That is definitely not what happened. Although we don't have an exact record of their first introduction, we do know that Charity and Sylvia were absolutely inseparable from the first moment that they met. In addition to being a poet and a teacher, Charity was a very skilled tailor, and Weybridge didn't have one. So as soon as word got out about her skills, Charity was overwhelmed with work. According to Rachel Cleves, who wrote the first book about them, Sylvia began to help with the sewing. Fingers kept busy by needle and thread, they made conversation to keep their minds occupied. At night, they may have shared a bed and continued the conversation, but with their hands freed from work. The cold that permeated the bedchamber drew the women close together. By the time May warmed the Vermont air, Charity and Sylvia were in love. And by July, they were living together. Charity noted in her memoir, "On the 3rd day of July, 1807, Sylvia consented to be my helpmeet and came to be my companion." They had this traditional silhouette portrait done to mark the occasion, a sort of wedding photo, and they celebrated July 3rd as their anniversary for the rest of their lives. Charity and Sylvia did not live in secret. Everyone in Weybridge knew that they were in a committed romantic relationship, and they were beloved and respected members of the community. To quote Cleves again, "Charity and Sylvia gained the toleration of their relatives and community, not by hiding away, but by being public-minded. They became Aunt Charity and Aunt Sylvia to the whole community." Charity and Sylvia lived and loved together in Weybridge for 44 years. They ran a successful tailoring business and trained young women to be seamstresses. They taught Sunday school. They helped to raise Sylvia's 64 nieces and nephews. And on Sundays, their home was where everyone went after church. The poet William Cullen Bryant, who was Charity's nephew, wrote about his aunts in Letters to a Traveler. "If I were permitted to draw aside the veil of private life, I would briefly give you the singular and to me most interesting history of two maiden ladies who dwell in this valley. I would tell you how, in their youthful days, they took each other as companions for life, and how this union, no less sacred to them than the tie of marriage, has subsisted in uninterrupted harmony for 40 years. I would tell you how they slept on the same pillow and had a common purse and adopted each other's relations, and how one of them, more enterprising and spirited in her temper than the other, took upon herself their transactions with the world without, until at length her health failed and she was tended by her gentle companion. I could tell you of their dwelling encircled with roses, which now, in the days of their broken health, bloom wild without their tendance, and I would speak of the friendly attentions which their neighbors, people of kind hearts and simple manners, seemed to take pleasure in bestowing upon them." Charity died in 1851 at the age of 74. Sylvia followed in 1868 at the age of 84. They are buried together under a single headstone in Weybridge Hill Cemetery. That's it for today. As always, more information, including sources and further reading, is available in the usual place.